Throughout the entire day, you have been fighting against traffic that held you back and irritated you, fighting against deadlines that seemed impossible to meet, fighting against people who did not understand what you were trying to say, fighting against yourself, against your own deep doubts, against your own irrational fears. Every moment of the day was a constant resistance. Every decision was an internal battle. Even when things went well, your mind was battling you, worrying that something would go wrong, obsessively analyzing every interaction, trying to control what is fundamentally uncontrollable. Out here, in the night, there exists a truth that has lived in nature since the beginning of time. A truth that a river knows without having to think, without effort. A river never fights with what it finds in its path. There is a huge obstacle, a rock many meters high, and the river does not stop. It does not argue with that rock. It does not try to convince it to move. It does not waste its precious energy on frustration or resentment. It does not believe the rock is a personal enemy. The river simply embraces the obstacle. It flows around it with quiet wisdom and continues its eternal journey. The water flows around the rock as if the rock were a natural part of its path, not as an obstruction, but as something welcome, as something integrated into the journey. And the water moves on without losing its true power, without losing its sacred purpose. Water holds no resentment. Water keeps no memory of struggle. This is water, freedom. Tonight, you need to learn what that means. Because your thoughts are like the stones in the riverbed. Most of them are just that, lifeless rocks. Obstacles without real deep substance. They are not the truth about who you are. They are not dangerous. They are simply in the way of your peace. Illusions created by the mind. Nothing more. And you are not the stone. You are not the thought that tomorrow will be difficult. You are not the worry that you will make a terrible mistake. You are not the voice that tells you that you have to stay alert all night. You are the water. You are the living substance that flows around those thoughts. You are the pure reality that exists beneath the surface of thought. You are what the ancient sage calls conscious presence, the consciousness that does not think, but that exists eternally. Water that has flowed through entire universes. Water that has nourished lives for eons. The water does not argue with the stone. The water does not believe the stone is a problem that must be solved immediately. The water simply flows around it with perfect acceptance. And in that flow, the stone is accepted, integrated into the journey, and left behind. Breathe with me now, deeply from the depths of your being. And prepare yourself to descend as the river descends. Not upward, where the light of illusion shines. Downward, toward the real depth. Toward where true silent power exists, the power that does not need to prove itself. Imagine that you begin on the surface of a night river. It is deep night, and the river is wide and beautiful. It is full of constant movement. There is moonlight reflecting on the turbulent surface. There is visible current. There is turbulence. There is active thought. The surface is where your battle has been happening all day. The surface is active and alive. It is where the mind constantly lives, where there are waves that rise and fall continuously, where there is constant reflection and agitation, where the self that struggles for control exists, the self that fights against life's obstacles, the self that is exhausted from fighting. Out here is the truth. You are not the surface. You are the water itself. And water always has the choice to descend. Feel how the weight of your body begins to change subtly, as if the river were gently inviting you toward its mysterious depths. It is not a violent or overwhelming force. It is a gentle and natural invitation. It is the natural flow of water that always descends toward the deep. Water that knows a truth your mind has never known, the truth that everything above must descend, that all struggle eventually ceases. And you do not resist this flow. You simply allow it to happen. You simply let the river carry you toward rest. Descend with me to depth 1. Here, the current is still strong and present. But it is softer, more gentle. The current does not struggle against anything. It simply flows effortlessly. There is still light here, but it is more blue, more calm and peaceful, the blue light of a place that exists between the world of the surface and the sacred depths, the threshold between effort and surrender, between trying and allowing. At this depth, thoughts are slower, the mind moves, but not with the frantic urgency of the surface. It is as if thoughts were fish swimming lazily around you. Fish without real substance. Figures that appear and disappear in the water. Some good, some bad, but all equally transitory. You do not need to chase them desperately. You do not need to catch them. You do not need to hold them. They simply pass through you, and you let them pass. Feel how your body weighs mori at this depth, as if the pressure of the water around you were embracing you protectively, as if the water itself were holding you with infinite love, the kind of holding that does not restrict, the kind of pressure that is pure support. And that is not uncomfortable or suffocating. It is deeply comforting. It is like being held by something infinitely greater than you. The pressure does not fight against you. It holds you. It embraces you. And in that loving pressure, there exists a rest that is impossible to find on the noisy surface. We continue descending together. Depth 2. Here the water is denser, colder, and more real, more true. The blue light you had is now almost olive green. It is as if you had entered a place that exists completely outside of the time that humans know. A place that has no minutes or hours, only eternal existence. The sounds change radically here. You no longer hear the rapid, ceaseless flow of the surface. You no longer hear the chaotic sound of disturbance. You hear something deeper and more true, the ancient murmur of water moving slowly, the sound of eternal truth, the sound of peace itself. At this depth, even thoughts slow down more. They become softer and weaker, more distant, as if they were being muffled by the water surrounding them, as if the water is absorbing their urgency. The thought that seemed urgent on the surface, that thought that made you fight, that made you suffer, here it is barely a distant whisper. Here it is almost invisible. Here it has so little substance that it is hard to notice it is there, as if it never truly existed at all. And here you begin to understand something deeply important. Your thoughts never had real power over you, not the power you believed they had. The struggle was never real. It was only the mind trying to protect itself from itself. The river has been flowing around your mental stones your whole life. It has been holding you all this time, even when you did not know it. It is not a problem. It is simply the way things are. It is the nature of life itself. Descend deeper now. Depth 3. Here the water is so dense that it barely visibly moves. Not because it is trapped or imprisoned in any way, but because it moves very slowly, with an intention that is not your mind's intention, with a speed so slow it is almost imperceptible. The light here is very weak. There is almost no light at all. It is almost completely black. But it is not a frightening or threatening darkness. It is a warm darkness, the sacred darkness of a place where nothing needs to be seen, where sight does not matter, where understanding comes from being, not from seeing. Here, sound almost completely disappears. All you hear is the beating of your own pulse, or perhaps it is the pulse of the river, or perhaps there is no difference between you and the river. Perhaps separation no longer exists. Thoughts at this depth are barely existent. They slipped through the water like ghost fish that were never real, barely with form, barely with substance, like shadows of shadows, without any real power. And you do not desperately try to catch them. You do not try to flee from them. You simply allow them to flow through you freely. And the river continues its infinite journey. This is the most important truth you need to know here. You are not the stone. You are not the thought. You are the water. And water has never been defeated by a stone. Water does not need to win a battle. It does not need to prove that the thought is wrong. It does not need to justify itself. It does not argue or convince. It simply flows. And in that flow, everything moves. Even what seemed immovable, even what seemed eternal and unchanging. That is the secret of true power. We continue down. Depth 4. Now you are in the underground river. This is the level beneath the earth. This is a place where no method can penetrate. The darkness is absolute and complete. There is no moonlight here. There are no reflections of stars. There is nothing that you can see. There is no form of any kind. There is no color. But here, in this complete darkness, there exists a peace that is impossible to describe in words. It is the peace of something that does not need to be understood by the mind, that does not need to be solved, that does not need to be controlled, that simply needs to be allowed. The river here is vast beyond imagination. Its banks cannot be seen. Its end cannot be imagined. You could be completely alone in the universe. Or you could be with millions of other souls who have also descended. Souls who have given up the fight. Beings who finally understand. It does not matter. The river holds you all the same infinite way. The water here is warm, as if it flows from the deepest layers of the earth, from places that have never been touched by coal, from sources that have their own sacred heat, from the life of the earth itself. This is the warmth that has always held you. And here there is no struggle, no resistance of any kind. Nothing to fight against. There is only existence, only being, only infinite flow, the eternal presence that needs nothing from you. And in that pure existence, the river continues its infinite journey from the high mountains toward the sea, without ever complaining, without resisting anything, simply flowing eternally, with a purpose that does not need to be understood, with a meaning that is simply to live. Descend one more level. Depth 5. This is the level where the water has not seen light in centuries. Centuries of transforming darkness. Where time means nothing. Where the concept of tomorrow or yesterday does not exist. Where movement is so slow that it cannot be measured. This is the deepest place. This is home. Here, the water is not water as you know it. It is more fundamental than the concept itself. It is the substance itself of eternal stillness. It is reality before the mind names it. It is what was before there was thought. Pure and unadulterated reality. Prior to all struggle. And you here are not you as you know yourself. You are no longer a person with a name and a personal history. You are a pure consciousness, the presence that observes, but does not think. Existence without identity, life without form, the being that can rest without fear. Thoughts cannot exist here, not because they are suppressed or crushed, but because here there is nothing that generates thought. Here only pure reality exists, without interpretation, without concept. And pure reality is silence, but not the silence of absence. It is the silence of total fullness. It is the silence that contains everything, the silence that holds all life, all consciousness, all being. The river at this level flows, but its flow is completely invisible. It is as if time itself is moving, but so slowly that even time does not notice itself moving. It is as if eternity is moving, but in a way so subtle that even eternity has forgotten it is moving. This is the river's true nature. Motion without movement. Change without variation. And in this place, at this final depth, you finally understand something that cannot be understood by the mind. You understand it not with your conscious mind, but with your complete being. You understand that thoughts never had real power over you. Never ever. You understand that the struggle was never real, that it was only an illusion created by the mind, that the river has been holding everything you ever worried about. It has been holding you. It has been carrying you. It has been protecting you. Even when you did not know it. The river does not need your permission to be a river. The river does not need your approval to flow. The river does not need you to understand its infinite power. The river simply is. And it exists. And it flows. And everything it touches is transformed by that reality. That is all. That is enough. So here, at this final depth, beneath all the darkness of the world, you allow everything to be. You allow thoughts to be what they are. You allow worries to be what they are. You allow the night to be what it is. You allow yourself to be what you really are, without judgment, without resistance. And in that complete acceptance, there is a rest that is deeper than sleep. A rest that needs no explanation. A rest that is true healing of the soul. The soul returns home here. The soul remembers what it is. The soul's return to its source. The water holds you. It has been holding you all this time, even when you fought against it, even when you suffered terribly, even when you believed you were drowning. The river was patient. The river never gave up on you. The water was there, holding you, flowing around you, transforming everything in its path, carrying you to exactly where you needed to be. Every stone, every obstacle was a teacher. And now, finally, you can rest in that eternal truth. Not because the river has ceased to exist, but because you now know that you are the river, that you always were, the water itself, the eternal flow. You are not the stone. You are not the thought. You are not the struggle. You are the water. And water knows how to rest in the night. The eternal water. The water that cannot die. The water flows in deep silence. The river carries everything to the sea. And you flow with it. Finally, in the deepest darkness you could ever imagine, where teammate does not exist, where struggle has dissolved forever, where only infinite flow remains.